a revolution in talk radio. Liberty Talk Radio, where the critical thinking will defrag your mind of propaganda-ridden viruses induced by mass media news programming. No BS here, just the facts.
And now we present to you America's quintessential iconoclastic anomaly. Wow. In talk radio, your host, Joe Cristiano.
Welcome, everyone, to Liberty Talk Radio, America's libertarian voice, broadcasting from our studio in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to around the world. I'm your host, Joe Cristiano, and this is your antidote to popular talk radio. Today, we are pleased and honored that the world's preeminent trends forecaster, Mr. Gerald Celente, has agreed to be our guest. Mr. Celente is the author and publisher of the Trends Journal and director of the Trends Research Institute. He tells it the way he sees it. What a refreshing approach to world affairs. Needless to say, also he's the founder of the movement Occupy Peace. In the interest of full disclosure, I am proud to say that I have been a subscriber to the Trends Journal for many years, and I am a financial supporter of the movement Occupy Peace. During our broadcast, we do invite you to call 646-652-4620. If you have any questions or comment, we do ask that you keep your comments brief because this is an abbreviated show, just about a half hour. So do call in, but do keep it brief. We do appreciate that. Gerald, thank you very much for being on our program.
¿Cómo está, Giuseppe?
¿Cómo está? Well, also in the interest of full disclosure, we must admit that we both lived on the same block on Hone Avenue in the Bronx.
Right, the Bronx.
Yeah. Well, Gerald,
I almost died as a little kid climbing the billboard, and just as I'm about to grab the transformer, my brother grabbed me by my leg and pulled me away. And I went to PS 76, the Spirit of 76. I ran away from kindergarten and crossed the Boston Post Road to escape kindergarten.
Oh,
so
my
that's
goodness.
The Bronx for you.
I went to PS 78. What do you know? Unbelievable. Well, anyway, Gerald, today I want to touch a little bit about the presidential, as you say, the presidential reality show. And we'll just take it from there. And please feel free to comment on any issue that you feel is pertinent or important. But it just seems to me that the candidates give us the impression that everything really is okay if we only would elect that particular person. Those few problems we have would be resolved, and everything would be hunky-dory, and that would be fine. It's almost like, to me, when I listen to these clowns, it almost seems like it's a guy telling his wife, saying, you know, if a wife beater, for example, you know, honey, if you would only buy me a smaller whip, it wouldn't hurt so much, you know. This presidential reality show is in stark contrast to the Trends Journal. And folks, here it is, the Trends Journal. This is a copy. This is the winter journal. The winter edition comes out 4 times a year, and where you outline all the problems that are facing us worldwide in summary, but they're all systemic problems. The people, the candidates, make it seem like it's not systemic. They just need to have a new government program to correct it. Everything would be fine. Is my mind warped? Or am I just so jaded that I can't understand these guys anymore? Or am I on the right track?
I ask everyone the same question when they talk about politics. Show me one thing that the Republicans and Democrats have done that have improved our lives. Take any agency from health, education, environment, military. What have they done to improve our lives? Everything they've done has taken away from our lives, from joy to beauty to money. All they've done is they have a track record of destruction that is undeniable and quantifiable. This isn't a qualitative analysis. And I'm sick of this military mindset. I've had it. I'm sick of this banker mentality. I've had it. I don't want to hear it anymore. All they have done, again, Show me success. Hey, you guys with that bad attitude and you want to keep bombing people, did a great job in Vietnam, didn't you? Yeah, if only they let us kill more than 3.5 million people, maybe we could have won. Oh, yeah, but you bombed Cambodia and Laos, too. You got off on that? Yeah. Hey, you did a great job in Iraq. Mission accomplished. Yeah. Hey, how about Libya? I'll tell you that Gaddafi has to go. You destroyed the whole area. Now the place is up for grabs. People are fleeing Syria, Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq, and they keep pumping out their crap. I've had it.
Right.
Nothing that they do, whether it's the military, whether it's the FDA, the EPA, it's the FU. That's all we get from them.
Okay. Well, it amazes me that these religious zealots, as I call them, can invoke the name of God, of Jesus, whatever religion they are, and then in the very next breath say that if we could only increase our drone attacks on people 7,000 miles away, the United States would be safe once again, because the greatest threat to the United States is ISIS. And I say the greatest threat to the United States is our government. How off am I on that?
100% correct. Listen, we both grew up in the Bronx, right?
Right.
We lived on Hone Avenue.
Right.
Let's say some people from Iraq come in and destroy everything that we love and kill everybody that we love and destroy our entire city, our entire state, and our entire nation. You think we're going to try not to blow their brains out for blowing ours out? Can anybody get this in their head? Hey, all you Jesus lovers, all you evangelicals, all you ones that profess to be, did you ever hear of the golden rule?
Yeah, and it seems that the public in general does not pick up on that, and they don't object to that, and mainstream television does not contest that whatsoever. They just roll with it, and it should be that that they should be the eyes and ears of the public, making certain that they hold all of the candidates accountable for what they say. And they don't do that. They actually make excuses for it, and it just hacks me off.
Well, they're prostitutes. And remember, let's get this straight. Slick Willie Clinton destroyed the Federal Communications Act in 1996. In those days, for example, if you owned a newspaper, you couldn't own the radio station, on and on. Now 6 companies control the entire media. These aren't debates that we have. They're game shows put on by the corporations. They get up to $250,000 for a 60-second ad. That's why you're seeing so many of the debates. It's become a revenue stream, and they've sold us war all the time. You remember the New York Times, they had them aluminum tubes. I mean, they march off to war. Who do they bring on for debates? They bring on the same criminals that they always do, retired generals and all these think tank psychopaths. So there's no fourth estate anymore. It's one estate. It's called fascism, the merger of corporate, state and corporate powers. So there's no free voice anymore. It's all paid for by the Wall Street gang and the military cyber-industrial complex.
Yeah. When I ask people a question, I've been to this conversation several times, and it doesn't come across very well. And that is, I say, if I gave you a gun and say, you see that guy over there in the corner? Go shoot him for me. And let's assume you did that, you came back and gave me the gun back. I said, would you be a murderer? They say, of course I would. I said, then what's the difference between that and that a kid comes out of high school, a man comes out of high school, and he...
A kid.
All right, that's right. He's a kid. You're right.
When you get out of high
Thank
school.
you for correcting me, because I needed to be corrected on that one, because I said, man, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, but I was out of my mind for most of it,
Well, he graduates high school. Of course, the economy is in shambles. You know, there are no jobs for young people. So he decides, I'll go in the military and I'll learn a trade. I'll go into electronics, computers, whatever the case may be. And of course, what they do is they teach him how to kill. And the kid's never hurt anyone in his life, but now he knows how to kill. Then they say, hey, go overseas, and when you get there, we're going to ask you to go into a town, all right? And we can give you orders, and when you get there, we want you to kill everyone in that courtyard. And this happens almost every single day. I said, now what's the difference between that? This young fella who's taught to kill, becomes a killer, goes overseas, and then is given a mission to clear that courtyard, to render it neutral by killing sometimes innocent men, women, and children that they have never met before, that have no threat to us at all. What's the difference? And people say, oh, that's collateral damage. And I said, have I lost my mind?
Again, the people have been brainwashed. There's, Hillary Clinton's emails coming out, which aren't being covered in the media at all. And I think Intercept just did a piece on one of them. And it showed how when these troops go into Iraq, it's not about freedom and democracy. It's about all the things that they say. We're going to get all those camel jockeys. It's about killing and slaughtering. And again, think of the mentality of how kids grow up. I mean, they're given violence with these video games. Oh, no, there's no correlation between mass killing on video. It makes you really feel great later, and it inspires you. Yeah. I mean, what do they use these video games to train these guys?
That's right.
So the whole culture has become a militaristic society. Militarism is championed. Again, look at today's news. Current events form future trends. Yeah, I have it right in front of me. Story about mass murder, and it being an accomplice to about giving the guns, and giving all those smart bombs to Saudi Arabia, and they're slaughtering innocent Yemenis. So you're giving them the weapons, you're an accomplice to the crime. Yeah, front page, Wall Street Journal. U.S. hits militant camp in Somalia. U.S. warplanes conducted airstrikes on what Pentagon officials said was al-Shabaab training camp in central Somalia, killing more than 150, quote, suspected militants. Suspected. Have you been convicted? Have you been tried? And I love this. They always throw out this 2-bit line of training camps, compounds. Who are they kidding with this stuff? What do you think? It's like West Point over there? They're bombing houses. They're slaughtering people. They're psychopaths, and they get off on it.
Yeah.
And that's what no one wants to do. They don't want to call the psychopaths. They rather call them El Presidente, Prime Minister, and Chancellor. They'd rather salute rather than call it what it is. This is against international law.
Correct.
No one is outraged at it. And it goes on every day. And got no money for Flint, huh? I can't fix that water. How much did that airstrike cost?
Yeah, right now it's estimated that just to update our infrastructure, not to improve it, but just to update it so that it's safe, it would cost over $1 trillion. And there just is no money.
It's higher than that.
Yeah.
It's higher than that.
Yeah, I mean,
much higher.
And that would not that doesn't include so many of the dams that need to be totally rebuilt. That's just to shore them up to make sure they don't fall again tomorrow.
I've read it up into the several $1 trillion.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Hey, no, look. You go to New York, you take the subway, it's a ride in Calcutta. You travel the world, you come back into JFK, you can't believe this hole. As you're going down the parkway over there, with garbage everywhere. No, the whole place is turned into a slum. Look at the streets in New York City, potholes everywhere. The whole place is turning to crap. Yeah. We got wars to fight and people to kill.
Yeah. What surprises...
just one more thought.
Sure.
We've spent more money in Afghanistan, quote, rebuilding Afghanistan, than we have on the Marshall Plan following World War II.
That's an amazing figure. That's an interesting one, and it's unfortunate that we don't hear that during the debates. Why doesn't these like you say prostitutes? But I agree with you. Why don't they bring up these questions, saying now that we've done that, what are we going to do for ourselves, and how are we going to actually try to spread spread peace around the world instead of creating more war? No one mentions that.
Because they treat it like a game show, and that's what they're doing. It's beat the clock. You have 90 seconds to tell me your foreign policy, and 30 seconds is a rebuttal if somebody else mentions your name.
Yeah.
They don't ask those questions. The types of questions they ask are to keep it in the reality show mentality. This isn't about substance. It's about selling. It's about media, them getting money so they could make a lot of dough off this. Period, paragraph. Hey, look at the size of my hands.
During the Vietnam War, they were protests in the street because there was a draft, and they say, "Hell no, I won't go," and stuff like that. And we seem to be brainwashed to a point where we don't have that anymore. We don't have a draft, so people are voluntarily going in because they can't find jobs. They think they're going to get a high-tech education going into the Army or the Marines, and then they come back with the post-traumatic stress syndrome, of which even those people here in the United States who are controlling drones are now acquiring the post-traumatic stress syndrome just from flying drones over areas, because they know intrinsically that this is wrong. They're killing people, but yet they're not personally responsible. Someone else is responsible, and they're just following orders. We are destroying the actual fabric of our nation, the very character of our nation, of our very culture of our nation.
Yeah, I know. And they just they're good. Look how they promote it at every sporting event. They keep promoting the war mentality. And you mentioned it, I'm Vietnam War era age, and it was very clear. The only reason people were protesting back then is because their lives are on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, you woke up every day, they're going to get me, they're going to get me. I know what it was like. I went away to college not to go to draft. I mean, and that was the last thing I wanted to do, was go to college. Actually, I wanted to open up a delicatessen in the Parkchester section of the Bronx. I swear to God. I only went to college to beat the draft, and I had to keep coming up with schemes to beat it. Ryan, will you get that paper up there with Donald Trump? It's that one right there where your hand is. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, just turn it around. That's not it. There's one of Donald Trump in a military uniform. Anyway, I have a picture here of Donald Trump when he went to military school. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. This is in Cornwall, New York, not far from us. Look at this little clown in his stupid uniform. You know what the greatest punishment? You probably had it. When you misbehaved, your parents would threaten to send you to military school. Right? I'm not making this up. You little SOB. They took us, I wrote about it in my book, What Zizzy Gave Honey Boy. They took us over to the Bronx Botanical Gardens with 3 little kids. And they did a big fence, big gate. And my father gets out, I had enough. And he goes out, walks to the gate, and we're crying, "Mom, we'll be good, we'll be good." We thought it was the military school with these big gates. This loudmouth little moron with a bad attitude who beat the draft. I had a spur on my ankle. Don't remember which one. Yeah, his old man bought him the way out. Look at this little clown. This shows you how uncontrollable he was. Could you imagine being in a uniform at this age? All I was interested in, what were we going to have for dinner tonight? The girls, going out with my friends. Right. And here this little clown, make your bed, put the corners right, salute, we're going to give you a uniform. My mother, may she rest in peace, used to make my own bed. Right. No, I'm not going to go to military school. That shows you how out of control and arrogant this guy is. Yeah. He was so arrogant that he gave up the youth of his life because they couldn't put him in control.
Yeah. Well, how much of this is because we're a nation that no longer has any balance in what is going on. For example, where are our religious leaders? Where are they? Why aren't they being vocal about all these wars? Why are they almost condoning and blessing these wars? So we don't have the counter to any of this. Now, we have you, and we have, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, we have, and several others, and some of them have been on our program, who talk about this, but those people who are in the neighborhoods, people that, leaders that people are in contact with, don't seem to be carrying this message. They seem to be promoting the killing, and somehow God bless us all. And that disturbs me. There seems to be, the counterculture seems to be very quiet. It's very large, but very, very quiet.
They're quiet and they're disoriented. We did with Occupy Peace, we have a program. It's not praying or oming for peace. It's respecting the founding fathers. No military foreign entanglements.
Right.
Close the bases overseas, bring the troops home, secure the homeland, put them to work to rebuild our rotted infrastructure, and of course, force Congress to vote to go to war, which they have not done. They only give El Presidente the power since World War II, and to have on each state ballot a referendum where we'll tell the congressmen and senators how to vote, because they don't represent us. They represent the people that give them the money. So here we launched Occupy Peace. We took our own money to make this happen, and it's in 6 figures. And I'm a working guy. I know billionaires. I know billionaires and multimillionaires. They gave us the grand total of not 1 cent.
That's interesting.
For peace. We sent out over 350,000 press releases worldwide over the course of a month announcing Occupy Peace. You had Ralph Nader, Cindy Sheehan, Dr. Robert Thurman, Gary Null. Not 1 inch of coverage. 350,000 press releases worldwide over a period of a month. Peace is off the agenda. 2 weeks ago, I went to a funeral. Catherine Liberatore, may her soul rest in peace, 100 years old, a woman of elegance and style. She danced at her last 100th birthday party. The church was packed. The priest said, he said, somebody 100, he said, the place is usually empty. She was so loved by so many. And then you know how it is afterwards. My cousins had a wonderful reception at Giovanni's in Bayside, and the priest was there. I walk up to him and I said, Father, I said, that was a wonderful sermon you gave, and I know that you were really connected to Catherine. You said beautiful things, and all these prayers have the words peace in them. I said, where's the Catholic Church on the platform of peace? I said, how come I heard the Pope, when he was down in Mexico, go after Trump because he wants to build up a barrier. He said it wasn't Christian-like. How come the church isn't talking about all the wars going on? And he said to me, you're right. I said, if the church and all the people that call themselves Christians were speaking in the terms of the Prince of Peace, we'd really have it.
Right. Yep.
So he said to me, stay in touch. Let's see what we could do. He was sincere. I've talked to other priests. They shut you out. I don't tell you what to believe. I could care who you believe. If Moses came down with 15, 10 commandments, dropped 5, whatever it was. Buddha was born on a lotus blossom. Mary was a virgin. Knock yourself out, man. Let's just talk about peace and get through that part. And what I'm saying is, peace is off the agenda. That's why do you think we have a militarized police force? The fish rots from the head down, and all they do is sell war. Could you imagine, again, a guy from the Bronx, could you imagine Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, or Donald Trump in a fight? I mean, a fight for your life. They wouldn't know their pee or poo. Yeah. I just want to be clean. I can't say the right words, Could you imagine these guys? Look at Christie. I mean, there wouldn't be a paper bag big enough to put him into fight out of. Yeah. And he talks tough. This little boy of a man, all of them, all little boys, not a man among them, and they love to talk about killing.
Yeah. Well, in the Trench Journal, which what I like about it, it breaks it down, the overall problems of the world, or the issues, I should say. Not just say problems, but the issues, and it's broken down into the migration of people in Europe, to the financial situation, to and it breaks it down where we're going and whatever. So you can segmentize it, but it's all one. Actually, it's all one philosophy. Of these, what do you consider to be the most pressing issue right now, or is that an unfair question?
Well, it's not a pressing issue. I mean, there's the economy, there's the wars going on. To me personally, the most important one of that, and it brings it all together, is self-sustainability. Here we are, a nation of 320 million people. You think we could make our own shirts, our own shoes, our own dinnerware? Can't we make this stuff our own silverware? I mean, you want to import things, I love French wine, Italian prosciutto. Yeah, bring those things in. But because once upon a time, when this was the land of opportunity, the people that didn't have the desire, the drive, or the know-how to go to college, financial or whatever, they had a middle-class life because it was a manufacturing society. That's gone. So to me, it's put back into place what worked before. This is not rocket science. There was the Robertson-Patman Act, Sherman Antitrust Act, Clayton Antitrust Act, that allowed mom and pops to compete against the big guys. You remember when we were growing up, there was a Macy's in Yonkers and one down in Herald Square.
That's right. Right. My mother used to go there once a year.
That's it. But you had all the other shops because of the Robertson-Patman Act, Sherman Antitrust Act, Clayton Antitrust Act. The bigs weren't allowed to control everything. Put those back in place. Get rid of Glass-Steagall, the thing that killed the banking industry, and get rid of NAFTA. Go back the way it was before. So to me, self-sustainability is, as I say, my blood is Napolitano, but my heart's American. I could never be me if I was born in Naples. I could only be me if I was born in the Bronx. I'm blessed for both of them, but I'm an American. And this is my country.
Right.
And that's where my heart is. And what they've done is they've ripped the heart out of America. And to me, self-sustainability is bring back the land of opportunity. I had enough of these little cowards, freaks, liars and fools telling me what the jive is. Love it or leave it. Leave it, because you guys are screwing it up. That's why I bought the most historic 3 buildings in America on the most historic 4 corners. The only place where there's a pre-Revolutionary War stone building on each corner. This is my country. And I want to see a revolution, but not a violent one. One of spirituality, of grace, of dignity, of passion and courage. How could any self-respecting human being, only talking for myself, look up to a Cruz, a Rubio, a Christie, an Obama, and this Bernie Sanders. Save your Coney Island Act for somebody else, Junior. And stop what you voted against the Iraq War. You got people arrested when they protested Clinton's murderous Yugoslav war that you love, along with your pro-Zionist, those Palestinians are shooting rockets into Israel attitude. And Bernie, you voted for the Afghan war. You love that, didn't you? I forgot, Bernie. You co-sponsored that resolution. Gaddafi has to go and we need a no-fly zone. And I could go on, but we're running out of time. Yeah. How could you look up to these clowns? How much more blood do the Clintons have to put on their hands for the people that they've murdered around the world? So to me, that's what's missing. Courage, dignity, and respect. Self-respect.
When I lived in Harlem, things were so different. People weren't very wealthy. There was a woman who lived at 2409, and I lived at 2407 above a factory. And she used to wait for me when during the summertime when I used to go out and play around 9 o'clock, and she'd be out the window, and she used to yell out from the third-story window. Never forget this, like it happened yesterday. She'd say, "Joey, what time is it?" She didn't even own a clock. And you know, I think back of those days where people didn't have anything, but they had self-respect, they had kindness, they had there was character. Of course, Skinny's Barbershop, that's where everybody went, including whom I'm talking about. But everyone respected each other. I remember if you went to a coffee shop and there were young people sitting around, and like Paulie, who was one of the senior guys in Harlem, and he was like 90 years old. If he walked in and there were no chairs, and one of the young guys didn't get up, you get one of the the older guys would get up, grab one of the young guys by the ear, literally by the ear, twist his ear and get up and say, "Paulie's here, where's your respect?" and slap him in the face and make sure he had a seat. Yeah. But Paulie would never say, no. He would say, no, let him sit, I'll wait. They say, no. And I think back of those days, every day I think of those things. Jerry, I feel like I'm going nuts. I said, there doesn't seem to be anything like that anymore. No respect, no character, no nothing. I find it very frustrating. And I think when I go, I always feel like all this is going to go with me, never to return.
No. Look, being, again, Italian, remember that thing called the Renaissance?
Yep.
It followed the Black Plague in Europe when 60% of Europe was decimated. But here's the difference. The billionaires of the day in comparative money, the De Medicis, they gave their money for art and beauty.
Right.
Alle Romane e all'antica, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients, a renaissance to describe the quality of their work. The quality is gone. The billionaires don't give pennies for beauty, and of course they give nothing for peace. So I believe in the possibilities of a renaissance. I believe it's within the human spirit, and if it's shown to the people and presented to the people, because as I see it, again, only speaking for myself and looking at the Renaissance, art is the way of finding the true meaning of the human spirit.
Right.
And it's God.
Right. Well, Gerald, we're about out of time, but I got to ask you, I love to study economics. I'm an advocate of Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. I listen to all the time, and Peter Schiff and those people, Michael Pinto. And it seems like our economy is teetering on the verge of collapse. And I know that sounds melodramatic, but in reality, that's what's really happening if you study it, not if you listen to mainstream media. What is your take on the economy, and do you see things going south that way?
I would have thought it would have collapsed, 2010. I had no idea they'd make up something called quantitative easing.
Right.
I had no idea they'd make up something called zero interest rate policy. That's a war on savers and little people,
right,
because we have no place to put our money. So they keep coming up with these schemes undreamed of. I think they've run out of schemes, the latest being negative interest rates. And if you look at the cover of the Trends Journal, it's the panic of 2016. We think it's going to be much worse than 2008. It's global. They're propping it up, doing the best they can to keep it alive. Tomorrow's a big day in terms of the European Central Bank meeting to see how much more quantitative easing they're going to put in. They're talking about another 10 billion euros a month on top of the 60 billion already to buy up bonds and to lower negative interest rates even lower. So there's no way out of this. And going back to what we began with, Occupy Peace, when all else fails, they take you to war. Right. Look how easy that clown Bush took us to war back in 2001. Nobody liked him. And his poll ratings skyrocketed after 9/11. People's minds were off it. We were in a recession back then.
Yeah. Well, Gerald, we're about out of time. I know you wanted to dedicate about 30 minutes, and we've extended that a little bit. We've taken advantage of you. I apologize for that, but I've thoroughly enjoyed
Thank
it.
you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, and I do hope you will accept our invitation to return at a later date and maybe give us an update.
I would love to.
Okay, Gerald, thank you so much for being on our show.
And thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you. All right. Okay, folks, we're going to take a real quick break just for about 1 minute. Please don't go away. Afterwards, we're going to show you a little video that was sent to us and read a couple of emails and also take your calls. And we'll be discussing the worldview from a monetary point of view as well. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Occupational health testing services. That's right. We sit on site. That means we will meet you at your facility for a free health and occupational safety consultation. Express Test specializes in hearing conservation, respiratory protection, and employee safety. We can help you establish viable programs tailored to your business and employee needs. For your free consultation, call 918-743-2929 or visit us at expresstest.com. That's 918-743-2929 or expresstest.com.
Ranch Acres Audiology is about caring, about getting the most out of life, about personal attention.
Sometimes helping someone with their hearing is really helping them with more than just hearing. That's the goal of my practice. That's what my goal has been for 20 years.
You're invited to attend our next free Lunch and Learn seminar. Call us today, 918-749-7711.
This isn't your typical talk radio show. This is Liberty. Liberty Talk Radio.
All right, do we have that video? Welcome back, everyone, to Liberty Talk Radio. I'm your host, Joe Cristiano. We just had, for our first segment, we had Gerald Celente on. He's the world's preeminent trends forecaster, the publisher of the Trends Journal, and the director of the Trends Research Institute. Gerald and I actually lived on the same block in the Bronx. We didn't know each other at the time. We didn't know we lived in the same block at the time. But when he had mentioned that, I said, well, I have to have him on a program. And he did a terrific job spelling out a few things that I think we should keep in mind. And that is, we are not even aware as a people, as a culture, as Americans, of the enormous damage that we are inflicting on the world. It, not only militarily, but just think, we go overseas and we say ISIS is our biggest threat. ISIS is not a threat to us at all. And the only reason why people are fighting back, as Gerald Celente supports, is the fact that we went there, we destroy entire areas of a country. People get killed, collateral damage, young children, babies, parents, grandmothers, grandfathers, and all that have, all they want is peace. They want to get up in the morning, work, and maybe can scrape by enough money for food for their family. And we come in with drones and kill entire neighborhoods, entire family structures. And we want to know why there's such animosity towards America. And making America great doesn't mean building bigger bombs and killing more people. That's destroying the very culture of America. And quite frankly, I think the American culture has been destroyed. America does not exist. When these clowns that they call presidential candidates, when they speak about making America great again, they can't make America great again because their policies will make America even worse than what it is. When will we realize that? And the problem is that we have forgotten how to think critically. We have forgotten how to contest what is going on. We have forgotten how to protest peacefully and to understand what really it means to be an American. And it starts with an understanding of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, what America stands for. Look at the map behind me. The United States is perfectly situated. It has the Atlantic Pond, as they call it, on one side. It has the Pacific Pond on the other side, separated from all of the strife and all of the conflicts in the Far East, in the Far East, and the Eastern cultures. We're separated from Europe, Eastern Europe, etc., of which is now verging on World War III. Look back in history. Look at World War I, prior to World War I. There was tremendous conflict among the nations. There was confusion. There was a pact between nations that were so entangled that the nations couldn't figure them out. And it all resulted in war. The same thing happened prior to World War II. There were pacts among nations. They starved the German people. The German people didn't want Hitler, but without Hitler, they would have starved to death. We gave them no choice because you're going to live on 700 calories a day. If you don't like it, suck it up. And that was our attitude. We have been an incredibly cruel nation to the world. And these people, especially our president, when they say that, we're the beacon of life, the beacon of hope, for the world, that could not be further from the truth. At one time, this is before the world wars, people would come here because there was opportunity. And I know many people worked in factories, in horrible jobs, working for $1 a day and hardly had enough money to eat. But they took that as an opportunity. They came here because there was an opportunity and they were willing to sacrifice themselves for their family. But today, our family no longer exists. You no longer have a mother. You no longer have a father. You no longer have an extended family. You have the government that'll take care of you. And we're all split up. There's no loyalty whatsoever. There's no character. And there's no more tradition. And the American tradition is dead. America is dead. America died a long time ago. And when are we going to realize that? When are we going to realize that the only way we're going to get America back is to wipe clean all these people that are running for office and put in people who are talking about individual responsibility, individual rights, the precepts of the Constitution, and get rid of big government, all of it, all the rules and regulations, and leave it up to individuals. If I want to trade with Iran, if I want to trade with Saudi Arabia, I want to trade with China or Russia or France or Germany or Japan or whomever I want to trade with, it is my God-given right to trade with whomever I want. Just look at the Constitution, it'll tell you exactly that. But no, our government, they say, if you're going to trade with this, you can't. We have an embargo on that country. So you can't trade with them. So we cause strife around the world. Here's an interesting statistic. Since World War II, not World War II, since World War II, 30 million people have died in conflicts, most of which the United States participated in or exacerbated or started in the first place. We are responsible for millions and millions of people who died. The embargo on Iran, because they wouldn't do what we wanted them to do. Hundreds of thousands of children died because they couldn't get medicine, food, and health care. But, we are a God-fearing nation. If God came down and would punish a nation, he would pick us first, in my opinion. And we don't want to listen to that because it's uncomfortable. It has to make us think. But we don't know how to think. Thinking is gone. I went to a meeting this morning. They were talking about how to improve the school system. It was a business meeting with business people. And I stood up, I said, hey, you want to improve it? Bring it to the backyard, Take a gun, shoot it, and bury it. It's gone. We have no school system. You want to educate our kids? Get rid of the school system. It's the worst organization in the world. It is making mindless drones out of all our children. That's what we should do, is kill the school system altogether. Bury it. Forget it. It's not the responsibility of the government to educate my kids. It's my responsibility. And if I want them to be fat, dumb, and happy, that's my business, not the government. But the government has an ulterior motive. They say, we want to make sure the children are well educated. Garbage. You believe that, you'll believe any fairy tale. You'll even believe Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, that he's going to make everything free. But the fact is that they want our children to be obedient to the state. And they want to control what is being taught. And our teachers have forgotten how to think. Because if they do think, they're out. A good friend of mine was I won't mention who it was, and I won't mention the college. But he was in his 9th year. After 10 years, you get tenure. He was voted, this is a big college, the best teacher in the school by a long shot. He was loved by everyone. They all loved him. He was a libertarian, by the way, And right before his tenure of 10 years, he was fired. Why? Because he wasn't towing the company line. That's right. So is this something that we should emulate? Is this something that we should be proud of? Are you proud to be American? I'm not proud to be an American, not anymore. I was. But now I'm listening to guys like Donald Trump saying, I'll fix the things in the Middle East. I'll nuke everybody. Oh boy, isn't that great? Am I proud to do that? All right, I want to show you a video that's sent to me. In fact, I have a couple of emails I'm going to read to you after the video. Don't go away. All right, can we play this video? I'm not sure how this is going to work. Just hold on a second and we'll see how this works. Here we go.
They just while away the hours, abusing all their powers. It can drive the world insane. Oh, if thoughts were busy hatching, what a life can you imagine if they only had a brain? Left or right, but never middle. Why can't they serve each individual in trouble or in pain? Is it too much to be thinking we could get another Lincoln if they only had a brain? Oh, I can tell you why the price of gas is high. When you siphon out the power and the greed, you're left with men who shouldn't breathe. They do lots of huffing puffing and still come up with nothing. Oh, these souls that live in vain. We could dance and be merry, life would be a ding-a-dairy if they only had a brain. If they only had a brain.
I think that's, am I on that? Okay, I think that summarizes it all. But what you will hear from your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers is this mindless response or retort. Oh, but you have to vote. It says who? I mean, what if the people running, and I kid you not, I'm going to make this a real situation. One guy was a carbon copy of Hitler. The other guy was a carbon copy of Stalin. And then you had an independent that was a carbon copy of Mussolini. And you got to say, well, you've got to vote. You just got to vote. I mean, it's your response. It is not your responsible to vote. If you knew anything about the Constitution, if you knew ever read the Declaration of Independence, it says you have the right and the obligation to dissent. Not to vote, but to dissent. To be a revolutionary in thought and a dissident in action. Not an obedient subject. But this is what we've become. And I really wish I can get that through people's skulls. Now I want to read you an email. This is on a subject that I love this subject, by the way. I love talking about it. People don't understand it, and that's the immigration issue. Of course, you know, Donald Trump wants to build walls. They want to shoot everyone coming over. They want to deport everybody, you know. But no one realizes that or wants to recognize or remember the fact that when the Westerners came here, we didn't have a passport. The Indians didn't say, excuse me, Christopher, may I see your green card? Or may I see your passport? Or we have to take your fingerprints. No, we came here, and what did we do? We killed the warriors, the men. We subjugated the children to slavery, and we raped the women. Wow, what a wonderful group of people this is. Look what the Spanish did when they went to the Caribbean. and to the Central America, killed tens of thousands of people in cold blood. You know, we did the same thing here. We took the land away from the Indians because we have better firepower, you know, and it's ours. Might makes right. That was our saying. And so we took it over. And now when the Mexicans want to come up here, across this imaginary line, which we call a border, it's an imaginary line. You can't tell there's a border there. So they come over to work. They're not coming here to kill anybody. If they want to kill somebody, they wouldn't travel through the desert. They would kill somebody in their own hometown. It's a lot more convenient for them. They would come here, and after they finish their work, you know what they want to do, folks? Contrary to the popular belief and spouted by these maniacs running for office, these idiots running for office, is the fact that they want to come back home. They want to go back home to their families. Yes, they have American dollars, and with those American dollars, it raises their standard of living, and then Mexicans can buy more products here from the United States. But at the same time, they're working here for wages that Americans wouldn't take to do that job. So we get our produce for relatively low price. It's a win-win for everyone, but not according to our politicians, because we're going to make sure these people stay out because of all the terrorists that are coming through. Well, the only terrorists coming through are those people working on controlling the war on drugs. And why is there war on drugs? Because we created it. We finance it. The United States finance the war on drugs around the world. We are making billionaires out of all of these criminals. And as a result, they have armies, they have armament and whatever, and they can create crime and they can control towns any which way they want, because they have a lot more money than we have now, because we gave them all the money. But God, I'm sorry if I'm making you think, because your brain is probably starting to bleed right now. I can sense it right now. Now, here's something. I won't give you the name of the person because he wanted to keep anonymous. He says, "Hi, Joe. I am disappointed with the border interview. It never seems to fail that when I hear arguments for or against the immigration issue, that the underlying problems are never addressed or the workable solutions proposed." Now, understand, folks, this guy is a thinker. He's a regular contributor to this program, and he's a thinker. I have the utmost respect for him. He said, "Let me bloviate." Bloviate. I never heard of that word. Just a little in my most authoritarian tone. The first issue is that no one appears to point out that if it were not for the public reliance upon the federal government to solve the problem, the public could solve the problem themselves. And that stands for everything. The poverty, the economy, absolutely everything. I agree 100%. It is because we have given the federal government power over us that the issue exists. No federal border, no violation. Then the problem dissolves to the states. Then remove all federal land ownership. I agree with the federal government should not own any land. They are. You know, they say, "I'm servants of the people, but I own the land." It's not a servant, you're the Lord, right? With the exception of legal offices and buildings, he says, and all the land returned to private ownership. The responsibilities for trespass dissolves to the individual. I don't have any unwanted immigrants on my land. It would be my decision if I wish to have them there. Return the land to the people, and much of the problem self-corrects. Well, this is what I've been spouting for years on this program. Return the power to the people. Get rid of the stupid government. Make sure the government represents the people and ensures one thing, that the right of the people to rule themselves remains intact. And not that the government takes over for the people and then collects money and redistributes it, of course, but they keep most of the money for themselves. And this is what we have now, right? The next issue, which also involves the state and federal government, is the power of these governments to provide transfer payments to immigrants and citizens alike. The various welfare benefits and free school only serve to attract the unwanted. He's absolutely correct. But you don't want to not just give money to the immigrants. You want to get rid of the programs. He wants to get back to the core problem. No national border fence is needed except the same border fence that exists before the Johnson Great Society legislation was signed. When you provide freebies, don't be surprised when you are flooded with takers. Hey, I'll be the first one online. Give me a freebie. I'd stand in line for hours. I'm terrible. I wouldn't do that. I'm only kidding. Eliminate the freebies and the undesirables will not come. Only people who wish to be self-sustaining and productive will be inclined to leave their homeland and travel to another, especially when it means crossing a desert for miles on foot. Would you do that? I can't get my son to walk to Walmart a mile away. He's going to walk across a desert? Come on, All right. With these two issues addressed, returning the land to private ownership and ending freebies, I believe 95% of the problem, I disagree, 100% of the problem, but he says 95% of the problem of illegal immigration will dissolve. Our major problem is not illegal immigration. I agree there should be no such thing as illegal immigration. Our problem is giving federal and state governments power over our private lives and then complaining about the inevitable outcome. That's my rant. P.S. I tried to call in, but just got an elevated music on my phone. I guess something happened to our lines at the time. I could not. I could hear the show, however. All right. Well, thank you so much. And people don't understand that it doesn't make any difference who legal or illegal immigration is. Right now, you know the difference between legal and illegal immigration is? Congress says there's going to be X number of people that we're going to allow to come from Mexico to, hold on, is that a caller? Oh, no? Okay. There's going to be so many people allowed to come in from Mexico. And I've got the amount, let's say it's 300,000 people, whatever the case may be, right? Now, so 300,000 people come in, they're legal. 300,001, illegal. Well, all they have to do is, you want to make them legal, just say 500,000. How many people are now coming in? Is it 500,000? Good. Then you allow 500,000 people in. Now, if you wanted to, and although I'm not an advocate of this, but have them go through a border crossing, give them a free Coke or whatever, or whatever it is, a free sandwich for coming all the way over. Thank them for coming. Have them fill out the an application, fingerprint them, take a picture of them, if whatever you want to do. Although that should be totally unnecessary. And then they can come in. And all of a sudden, everyone who comes in is now legal. Why? Because Congress said, no, not 300,000, 500,000. Ball game over. Problem solved. And then knock down this. I don't say build a wall. I say knock down the stupid wall that we built. It's ugly. Have you seen it? It divides towns in half. It's the ugliest damn thing. It's creating slums on both sides of the wall. I say get rid of all of that. Excuse me. Could you change the clock, please? Could you turn it on me? Thank you very much. Okay. The clock turned, and I always like to see what time it is. Okay. What's that? You did it. I did it. Okay, they say they're blaming me. No, I never make a mistake. Yeah, ask my listeners. I never make a mistake. Okay, well, it is almost the top of the hour. We do hope you enjoyed this program. We invite you to write into comments at libertytalkradio.com. We also invite you to subscribe to our reminder service by visiting our website, libertytalkradio.com, and press on the subscribe button. We just ask for your name and your email address. We do not sell your name to anyone or we'll send you no promotional stuff, nothing. Just you'll be notified when the next program is. And if you know of someone who would be a good guest for this program, let us know. Just send an email to booking, B-O-O-K-I-N-G, booking at libertytalkradio.com. That's our booking agent. Her name is Sally, and she will get back to you, and we'll see if we can get the person on the show. And, of course, our studio here is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If they'd like to visit and be in the studio for an interview, that's also more than welcome. All right? Well, with that, I hope you enjoyed today's show.